Shenanigans. Real talk and real recovery, sharing stories, old and new, trying to stay on the right path and help others just like you. So feel our flow and get on with the show. Here's your hosts, Stoff and Primo.
The chakra. There's no way that 15 minutes of silence, that's like 15 minutes of me going up into my brain, which is a bad neighborhood, and trying to hang out there. I don't want to be in there. I want to be somewhere else, man. But I'm learning, and it's like I've appreciated it because I need it.
Yeah, keep coming.
I am. I'm open-minded. You know, my original meditations or theories of it was more like the Jim Morrison's type, you know, where I'm in the desert wandering around on peyote looking for was the answer to the meaning of life or something. And then when I got sober, I'm like, well, that's weird. You know, I can't do that anymore. But,
yeah. I think MJ, what you provide is fantastic. That whole meeting has turned around from being canceled to now it's, you know, I count. So it averages about 25 people on a Tuesday, which I'm one of them, and I really enjoy it. It's, I think what you do and how you pre-think out the meditation, how it sometimes corresponds with the daily reflection, or a lot of times does. I think that's just awesome. That
that's how I start it. I will read the daily reflection for that day, and then through the process of elimination, you know, I'll pull out a word. You know, yesterday it was progression, I think.
Yeah.
And then I Google, or I go on my Insight Timer, which is a free app. Anybody can have it. You know, you can pay for it for a plus system, but
what's it called?
Insight Timer. It's a little white screen with a gong bowl. You know, and then I'll Google, not Google, but on the Insight Timer, I'll search a 15-minute meditation for progression, and then I'll go through. So, I mean, I'm listening to a bunch of meditations in order to find the one that I want to share with everybody. So I'm kind of at my top Zen mode by the time it comes around.
But just the whole commitment in general. I mean, this is where service makes all the difference in the world. And the difference between, you know, coming and going and staying sober is the service, and it's the commitment. Now you're responsible not only for your own sobriety, you have people that are really want and need your direction in this. You know what I mean? It's like, and if you look at it that way, it feels a little heavy, but it isn't. It's like, you know, people are totally like, they're getting up and they're like, I'm going to the meditation meeting and I'm going to do my part. I'm going to treat my alcohol or whatever it is. Yeah. And it's so critical that, you know.
I need it too. You know, if I couldn't, you know, things happen in your life and then I go to a meeting and I share about it.
Right.
And, you know, I've recently lost my position. I was separated from Starbucks, and that was a blow, you know.
I'm so proud of you, by the way. I am so proud.
I'm looking at it as an opportunity, you know. I'm super glad that I didn't get fired for drinking.
Right.
That definitely could have been that someone had shared that in a meeting. They're like, well, at least you didn't get fired for drinking. And I'm like, well, I guess that's really okay. Yeah, I'm in agreement.
That's a good way to look.
And it's like, okay. And now it's just opened a door. You know, I kind of got on and I'm doing some unemployment stuff, but it's making me think about what I'd like to do and what, you know, looking for my purpose. Because I was just going with the flow over there and, you know, kind of biding my time, waiting to retire, you know, and, you know, just...
I think God had a different plan.
Much,
Yeah. And he decided that he was going to, because you weren't listening. And you were totally meditating and praying about it. You were doing yours. You did the work. And then you didn't wait for the answer. And God said, okay, I'm gonna help you out here. Yeah. That's the way I feel. I mean, I'm like really proud of you. And I think that open door is going to allow you to just go through the stratosphere, man. You're going to, a new atmosphere. You're going to be rocketed into the fourth dimension.
I am.
And it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm really, like, I see those things, you know, and as an outsider, I'm like, I have a big mouth and I talk a lot, but I also...
She goes,
Yeah, no arguments. But I also listen and watch, too. I love to watch the reality show that we get to be a part of, right? And
Oh, great.
yeah. So I'm like, I know, like, my heart, like, if all of my fibers, like, MJ she just got the God thing happen to her, and it's going to be great. And I see the same thing for both of you guys. I just see the process, and I'm loving it, and it's been cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for those listening today, we have with us MJ, who is our favorite meditation leader.
Yes.
Of our group that we go to, and we're really glad to have her here today. And she, I think, is going to share some of her story with us, and we're really glad because she is our first female guest, which is a landmark for guys like us, who just usually like to talk to ourselves and our masculine idiocy. So it's really great to have you, MJ.
Well, thanks for having me.
And if you would like to say maybe your sobriety date if you want to, or what brought you in, the floor is yours.
Well, absolutely. Hi, I'm MJ, and I'm an alcoholic.
I am.
My sobriety date is November 1st, 2023. I came in after a good weekend of widespread panic concerts, and drinking was involved. But
That's the name of the group, right? That's correct. What you paused. Okay, good.
I was looking forward to these concerts, and I had a friend come into town from Colorado to visit, and I had not drank the whole entire month of October because I was taking a break. And when she got here, I picked her up from the airport, and I remember driving across the causeway, just kind of mouth-watering, like I can't wait to start drinking with my girlfriend, and we're going to have a great weekend. And I think 4 hours later, I was in a blackout, breaking up with people and causing commotion, and didn't realize it.
Jonathan Merrill Lynch.
And, so I was promising that I'm not going to, this weekend's still going to be great, like apologizing for that first day. And okay. And then and we had to drive up to Savannah, it was in Savannah. So we had a long drive up there and, kind of chatting about everything about life. And I was apologetic and then went to the shows, but, started out drinking.
Yeah.
And the first thing I said to her was, I'm not going to drink any hard alcohol, which I really I didn't do until later, the progression,
Right.
we used to do shots and everything, but now it's like, I was hitting her vodka bottle, and I'm like, this is just really bad. And I just promised her not to do that. And I did it.
Yeah.
And I didn't care about the consequences. And, and then there's drunk me at the concert. And, my sister-in-law says, what happened to you? And then I made up a story. Oh, yeah, I hurt my back and I took something because I was loopy.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it was because I was drunk. So that was upsetting. And, and I didn't know where it came from. I didn't, I had control. I thought I controlled my drinking. And so when I returned from that concert, I decided that I had a problem with my drinking.
Yeah.
It was out of control. And I ended up waking up and looking online, and Ozona was the first, the closest meeting. So I went to a meeting at 9:30 Friday morning, walked into Ozona, and you don't know when you first get there that everybody's going to know you because you're new.
Right.
You just think you're going to blend in. That was not the case.
Yeah.
So right away, a woman walked up to me and introduced herself, and kind of said, it's your first time? Yeah, okay. Well, you look too good to be an alcoholic or what have you. But she ended up staying with me at the end of the meeting, and they read how it works there, the first thing. And I cried through the whole thing of that. And I said, oh, geez, maybe, but still in denial. I don't know. I didn't know what I was out for. And then after the meeting, she kind of pulled me outside, and we were just chatting, and she kind of asked about what my drinking was about, because I think it took a month for me to say that I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I'm a binge drinker. I can turn it on and I can turn it off. which is true. I could stop for months at a time. I could stop for years at a time. But I didn't realize that it's just a progressive disease and it gets worse and worse. So she later became my sponsor, and we went through the steps and did all that fun stuff. And I'm just such a happy AA'er. It's just great.
So you didn't go to any treatment center?
No.
Either did Greg. Now this is crazy. So just so you guys know, I went to enough treatment centers for the both of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did geographic changes. So let's see. Well, I'll give you a little background.
Please.
So I was born and raised in New Jersey, in Lincroft, New Jersey, Monmouth County area. Great childhood. We were outside all day. I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 71. So,
Did you drink out of a garden hose?
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it.
Yes,
All right.
Absolutely. All our birthday party, I had to slip and slide. I had the best birthdays because it was in the summertime.
No helmets.
So, oh, heck no. Mopeds. No mopeds with no helmets. And
Paint chips were snacks.
we all had the burn marks on our inner calves, and your parents were like, what happened? What'd you do? And I'm like, you were doubling on the moped and my leg got burned. Just great, parties at the res, drinking in the woods.
Absolutely. Skipping school.
I wasn't a school skipper.
Were you into the bad boy at school? With the leather, did you like the leather jacket kid?
No, it was denim jacket with the Marlboro Reds.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. I had huge hair, big hair. I think by the senior year, I think it was a little bit different. But
all the girls did back in those.
Oh, it was the 80s.
Yeah.
I graduated in 1989.
That's a prerequisite for alcoholism, the big hair.
It was great.
The Aquanet. The Aquanet sink sail.
Well, that was a good story. I had so being a Jersey girl, they had you're always have curling iron, curling your hair, but they came out with it was called the clicker, and it was a butane fueled on the go curling iron. So genius me has the clicker on, so
like a lighter.
you click it on. So that's why it was called the clicker, but it's butane fueled. Hold in your hand. Anyway, I take the Aquanet to the butane fueled curling iron, and and I'm like patting my hair out, because I set myself on fire. That was right before school. I'm like, oh god.
See what the bad Benatar looked like right away. Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun time. I don't know why that came out, but that's good. Good old man.
I got any of those clickers, by the way. Now I
Yeah.
know they existed.
I don't know if they will make it. Who knows? But that's what you used to do to set your hair. You'd spray it and then curl it, or spray it again, and it would hold the curl. So, but next time, don't do it with the flame in front of it.
No, I was doing that with my mullet from behind.
So I graduated high school. I played soccer. So I played soccer, played for the Jersey State team. I think I was pretty good. So when it came time to go to schools, I did do some research, little smaller scholarships to, schools in New Hampshire. And so I went and checked those out. And my sister happened to be going to the University of Arizona at the time. So I think it was President's Weekend. And I said, hey, can I go, Mom, Dad, can I go visit Joel out of school? Sure. So I went out for a weekend, and I fell in love with University of Arizona. Everybody's with their Birkenstocks and their cut-off jeans, and everybody's on a bicycle and riding around and going to school. And I think I filled out my college application when I was there visiting my sister. So I was accepted to the University of Arizona, and I went there, and my little small scholarships that I had, I said, oh, I'm not going to play soccer.
Yeah. And
then went to University of Arizona, and I was sitting there on the mall with my sister having lunch, and she was reading the Wildcat newspaper, and she said, oh, look, they have a soccer team here, and they're having tryouts. Okay. So I ended up they were a club team at the time. By the time I graduated, it became a Division League team.
Nice.
So I played all 4 years at the University of Arizona. We paid to play, though, so it wasn't, it was great, though. It was a great experience, my friends for life. I'm still talk with my soccer coach, and it was a family. So Megan Dale. I ended up, they all lived in Tucson. And I ended up living, I asked her to move in with me in the dorms. And so we did a semester in the dorms, and that was great. And then, so I graduated college, and the whole time in college, I was, my parents kind of said, come home and work internships. And I said, I want to go to national parks. I want to go travel. No, you come home. So I said, okay. So every summer I would go home and work during the summer and then go back to school. And then the year I graduated, I said, well, I'm done. I'm going to my national park that I want to go to. So I shipped my bicycle up to Yosemite, and I took a Greyhound bus
Nice.
from the University of Arizona to Medford, or not Medford, Merced, I guess it is.
Wow.
Yosemite, and lived the summer of '93 in Yosemite, working there. Worked as a pizza cook.
Was Yogi Bear?
Yeah, it was a great time, And then, I'm real into music, so I took that opportunity and saw some Dead shows down at Shoreline Amphitheater, and that was great. And then I moved back home to New Jersey. My brother got married in '93, and I think that was my sister came out to get me, and we went to Jimmy's wedding, and then it was time for me to start a career. So I got a suit and tie job working at a pharmaceutical ad agency where I was a studio artist. I went solo for graphic design and fine arts. Who would have known, right?
We could use your talents.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And then I did that for a year, and I was commuting for a year up the Garden State Parkway, 60 miles from Lincroft to Parsippany. And it was awful. I had Howard Stern to listen to. I was listening to him every morning. But it's, Jersey traffic, and especially in the summertime, it was just horrible. I never even thought of the idea of moving up there and living there. Because I was a college grad, and I was hanging out at my parents' house. So took about a year from my little attitude problem with the studio manager. And I think before they asked me to leave, I, left. I don't think I've ever left a job. I think I've been fired from every single job I've ever worked at.
Good for you.
I think that's a badge of honor. Yeah, exactly.
So with that, so I was living at my parents' house. I ended up working at a print shop, silkscreen shop, for about a year. And then I was talking to my girlfriends, and I said, "Yeah, you know what? Let's get out of here. Let's get traveling." So I said, "Let's do the northern states camping, and we'll make our way down to Mardi Gras in February, and then make a big circle." And so I had two other girlfriends that were going to go with me, and one ended up only going, and so we headed out. It was actually the OJ's verdict. We waited for the OJ verdict, so it was '95. It was October '95, and waited for this verdict, and then we hit the highway the next day, and we took the northern way out and went through, New York, and through South Dakota, ended up in Washington, Seattle, and finally ended up in South Lake Tahoe. And we were kind of low on funds, and it was right before Christmas time, and we said, well, let's see if we can get jobs. Okay. So we ended up, I got a job as a banquet server at the Horizon Casino and Resort, and
They did not fire you. You left that job, right?
I left. Well, I worked for the Horizon for 7, and it's not like I'm getting fired like after a month. I'm putting in time.
Yeah, okay.
So I worked for so we decided that I liked it there.
Lake Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe. I'm like, all right, so I'm going to ski. So I worked at the Heavenly Ski Resort during the day, and at night I was doing banquet serving. And then I said, I called my parents. I'm like, oh man, this is great out here. I want to become a ski bum. This is a great lifestyle, and I'm choosing to do it. So I ended up buying a little condo out there, and it was, skiing all day and working at night at the casino.
Sweet.
And so a job opened up for, I was looking because the seasonal position was going to end. And I said, well, what should I do? And it opened up for a valet attendant. And I said, can can I do this? And sure enough, yeah, you can. Why? I'm like, can girls valet attend? Sure, why not? So I was running at night, racing for cars, and
Yeah.
driving nice cars, and making money,
And skiing.
and skiing during the day. So it was great. And then, I was working a graveyard shift at the time, and I started going inside to the casino to warm up, and I was looking at all the bartenders, and I'd say, hey, where are you parked? Give me your keys. So I would go and get their cars and have them up on the ramp waiting for them when they got off work. Running, there's no snow on the car, and then I got real friendly with the guys inside the casino, and they're like, you're like wasted talent out here. You need to come behind the bar.
Oh,
That's Yep. So this is how the whole kind of progression of my drinking started. Okay, so for 2 years I bar backed, which was really, really hard work. I mean, it was, I had to push like 25 cases of beer on a cart through a casino on carpet. I was lifting kegs on top of kegs. I mean, I was in great shape. I was in phenomenal shape, but that was the progression of how to become a bartender, because that was I had a goal. I'm going to become a bartender.
Because you're not using existential talents to push cases around. When they said your talents are being wasted here, then you go to bar backing, where no one sees you and you're sweaty and you're wet, but you're eventually getting to the bartender position.
For sure.
Right.
And then I finally get turned out after 2-3 years of bar backing, and I bartended for a year or two, but with that, I got into the whole scene of the casino workers. They run after hours, and you would get off work, you would literally take your tie off, because our casino was one of the casinos where you can gamble at. Like most of them, you couldn't gamble where you worked.
Right.
So you take your tie off, and so when the royal flush was up to like $5,000, when it normally kicks at like $2,500, the whole entire bar is full of casino employees that want to win this prize.
sure.
So it just got to be drink, rinse, wash, and repeat. You go to work, stay after, gamble, drink, party, and then
It's the hospitality industry.
it's correct. And then it was, my ski days, the nights got longer, the ski days stopped happening, and I got into the vicious cycle of that. So, I think I ended up, and I was calling my parents, going, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm lonely. And, I think I was remembering this, that, I think I saw like a therapist out there, because I was lonely and depressed, but it was alcoholism, and I was crying and drunk and what have you. So I ended up, my sister and my brother and his wife came out to visit me. So I have a brother and a sister. My brother Jimmy's 7 years older than me, and my sister Jill is 5 years older than me.
Okay.
So Jimmy and his wife came out to visit, and they were due to leave 9/11. Fly out. So they were stranded in South Lake Tahoe with me. Their daughter was with my parents, and they had to spend the following week with me there. The whole world shut down.
Right.
So and this is what I said to myself. So I said, I'm going to move back home to be closer to my family. So I ended up, but in actuality, I think my dad came out and packed me up within a day in a U-Haul, and we were gone, because I knew, I think it was more of a, we got to get you out of here too.
Did you know like cognitively that you had to get away from that scene?
Yes.
Like you were mired in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to relieve take myself away from it.
That's very smart. That's very self-aware.
Well,
at a young
I
age.
don't know if I went willingly, now that I'm thinking about it. Like, I think my dad showed up with the U-Haul and said, I'm taking you.
Well, your brother being with you for a week related to your dad that, hey,
Well,
get out
no,
of here.
because my brother was like, in retrospect, I've spoken to my family members about things, and my brother was like, I remember him saying, why can't you fix yourself where you are? You don't have to move. And that always stuck with me, because I'm like, I'll move back home, and I get to hang out with my other friends, and I'll go to this gym, and I'll do this. And I remember him saying, why can't you do it where you are?
Yeah, when your dad picked you up, he also brought you with you.
Yes.
Right.
That's the only problem.
Yeah.
The U-Haul actually brings you and
Everything.
and the problem with it.
The problem. I'm the problem. So I moved back to New Jersey, and then I ended up getting a little condo around the corner from my parents' house. And I ended up working at a steakhouse in Colts Neck, and worked there for 5 or 6 years. Bartending, yes. And, it slowly kind of crept back in. I was fine for the first 2 years. And then that third year, I was getting off work and going to the bar, and it became a cycle. And my parents lived a little too close to me. So like my dad would come over and knock on the door, and I'm just hungover.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, I don't want to open the door. And so I was worrying them. And I didn't realize, I knew that. So I thought, well, I need to go away. I need to not let them worry about me anymore. So I picked Breckenridge, Colorado. And from a picture, it looked beautiful.
Some good skiing too.
Yes. Well, because, a couple years in New Jersey will make you want to go back to,
What's the place in Breckenridge that great, they have like warm cookies at the ski resort?
Oh, I think they give cookies out where at Vail?
Oh, it's in that area where Breckenridge, anyway.
I know what you're talking about. Is it Keystone? One of them gives out cookies. I think it's Aspen or not Aspen. I think it's Vail. Yeah, I think so.
You seem to be drawn to beautiful areas.
Mountains.
Lake Tahoe.
We like to ski.
Right.
You're a
Yes.
skier, aren't you?
Out of Arizona.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a draw, and I'm big camper, hiker, mountain biker. So
I'm sensing the adventure.
yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
you've seen it. You've done it. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like to be off the grid a little bit.
Yes.
That's cool.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in Breckenridge.
So I'm in Breckenridge, buy a condo there, right at the base of a chairlift, which was great. And then I ended up working for the Mountain. I got fired from there. Again, my attitude problem. I just butt heads with everybody, and that's the old me, though. I changed.
Yeah.
Just fighting authority. Not wanting to do the rules and the procedures that they want me to do, and well, that's going to work better this way. And
See, I admire that though, because you salvaged and saved that meditation meeting because of that. That person, you took some of that old person into your new life and put it to good use.
Yeah.
I'm picking up on it.
Oh, there you go.
And the Brainiac.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then, let's fast forward. So I worked at restaurants and steakhouses, and really, I thought, what was this thing we used to say? My life is your vacation.
Wow.
Because we're living the dream. I'm skiing all day, I'm working at night, and I mean, literally, people are paying thousands of dollars to come ski at where I live.
Yeah.
And I get to do it as part of my life. So, it was good until I blew it, until I self-sabotaged, until I took it too far yet again. And then that was around 2018, and it's just, I knew that I had to work, and I'm sitting at a bar having lunch. And I don't leave, and I keep drinking, and then I know I have to go to work, and I don't want to let them down, so I show up hammer loaded.
Yeah.
And it's just, what are you doing, MJ? And it's like, oh man, and then the next day I came in and I was crying, and they said, I'm really sorry, but you can't do this.
Right.
Okay. So I still had another job on the mountain. Being in the industry, you have a bunch of different jobs.
Sure.
So I was, banquet serving up on the mountain at Beaver Run, which was a conference center. But that kind of, I had to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to set up for breakfasts, and I was out until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So I came in reeking, and
Beaver Run was the place.
Beaver
Or Beaver something Beaver. Was
Beaver Creek
That's
gave out
cookies,
the cookies.
yes.
There you go. I knew it was. So it's Beaver Creek's over by Vail.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, that's a really good little mountain. So, and then yet again, I call so at this point, my mom had died. She died in 2010. And I was living out in Breckenridge, and they actually came out to visit me when I was living in Breck. And, I don't think she knew, but I think she had cancer then because her breathing was labored. And when she got back, from visiting me, they found a tumor and she, died. But, when working for the resorts, you get they call it a mud season. So like April, the slopes are still open, spring skiing,
Yeah.
and then at April 15th, let's say they close, and then the whole month of May into June, and then until summer starts. So I was job attached to working at I think it was Breckenridge Ski Resort. So during the summer, I worked the bars. I worked banquets and weddings.
Sure.
And then during the winter, I was bartending at different bars. So I would collect unemployment and I would go travel, or I would, because you're considered job attached. So you didn't have to look for a job because the resort was closed.
Right. It was coming back.
Yes, it was coming back. So I was able to go home and hang out with my mom while she was sick and, stay there. So that was kind of nice, but I was drinking.
You could have came to Florida and bartended during spring break and all that.
No. So I was there. I ended up, when my mom died, it was Labor Day weekend, it was Memorial Day weekend. What's today's date?
Today is the May something.
28th, 29th.
If it's 29th, that's the day she died. That's crazy that I'm talking about her.
Man.
That would be tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So tomorrow is her anniversary of her death. So my brother calls me and he says, "Oh, Seven Walkers, Grateful Dead, the drummer Mickey Hart's band is playing up in Albany. Why don't you come up?" I said, "Oh, okay, I'll come up." So we go out and we have a great time. And then I got a phone call from my sister at 4:00 that said that mom was taken to the hospital and she's not coming home. Oh, geez. It was kind of like the people in the hospital. My dad and my mom were like saying something. My mom was like, "Oh, just let the doctors do whatever, Tommy. Da 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 da." Okay. And so they brought her up to hospice, and I guess they just pumped her full of so much stuff because they would have called us, and we would have been able to go around, be by her, but yeah, they ended up walking through the ER, and people are like, "Oh, you're leaving already?" And they're like, "Yeah," without my mom, and they were like surprised because she was up and talking and everything was fine. So it was like, but she's out of pain. I mean, she was in a lot of pain and she's in a better space. But I kicked myself for being home for that, but then going away and being up with my brother. So that was, stuff that I uncovered in the process of my 12-step of AA, doing the steps. That uncovered a lot of stuff and a lot of, things I was holding on to. So that's the one really positive thing. I kind of was able to make an amends with myself and with my mom for not being there and for,
That's good.
Yeah. So
That's really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think everybody should do a 12-step program. Seriously, it should be like taught in school.
I don't disagree.
It's just the way it's a fantastic way to live my life. And I've become such a better person and I'm starting to like myself again, So it's really great. So that was 2018. So then 2018, I moved back to living at my dad's house. So he had moved, when my mom died, he moved down south to a golf course community, Renaissance.
New Jersey?
In New Jersey, Manchester, New Jersey. And, 3-bedroom house. So Dad, can I come home again? Geographical change.
Yeah.
So we packed up and he drove me cross country. My poor dad drove me cross country, literally 3 or
Put some miles on.
3. Yes, he has, and he drove me down to Florida in 20.
Unconditional love. If you want to know what it looks like.
I mean, when my mom died, my dad and I started doing an annual trip, and so each year we pick a place and we go and do it. Last year we were in Hawaii on a cruise.
Nice.
And then this year I was going to have him come down here and go to the Keys because I've never been to the Keys.
Oh.
And I was going to rent a travel van because I have a lot of interest in a travel van, and I was so let's rent it and see if I like it, because all these hopes and dreams, I might get in it and say this is too small. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So who knows? So but I think it's a little too hot for him to, he's turning 85.
Wow.
And I want to keep him around as long as I can, and I don't think I need to kill him, bringing him down to the Keys in 90-degree weather.
How did you end up in Florida?
So I was living at my dad's house, and that's how I got the job at Starbucks, because I was like, okay, I need benefits and I need a job. And I tried to get back into the graphic design stuff, and then I realized real fast that I've been out of this scene for 30 years, and that everybody can design their own business card now or whatever else. So I the main focus was I need to get benefits and I need a job. So I applied at Starbucks, because I did not want to be a bartender. I had to get away from the drinking, because I was figuring out that drinking was becoming a problem. So for 2 years I lived at my dad's house, and I didn't drink, going to the gym, but I was miserable. I guess that's considered, a dry drunk.
Yeah.
Tom Jones Park.
And then I ended up the pandemic happened. And so I'm at my dad's house, and I'm like, I can't believe this happening. Like, it was insane. The whole world shut down. And I started getting antsy. I think it was March. I went to see the Panic at the Beacon, where they had a little a residency there of 4 or 5 night shows. And I think I went to most of them. And that was where the 0 person or the 0 day started. So the next day they shut down everything, literally. So I saw the last Panic shows there. And then so hanging out at my dad's house, and so I started watching shows online and Zooming with my friends, so we would watch the concert together.
Oh yeah.
And that's when I started going, well, this would be a lot better with a drink. So that's when I was sneaking beers or whatever I could sneak into my room and drinking. So it kind of crept back in, right? And then I was like, oh no. And then I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I picked Florida, because Florida seemed to be open at the time, because I moved down here September 13th, 2020. And so I ended up, we were open. And I ended up finding a place over by the causeway, and renting from it. And my sister had a family friend that actually was living down there, and it just coincidentally, I was looking in the exact same place that she lived. So it was kind of crazy. So it was nice to have a friend here when I first moved. So my dad and the U-Haul, here we go again, down geographic change, and that's when it really took off. I think with my drinking, I was biking. Friday ritual was we'll go to the farmer's market, and then we'll have a couple beers at Skips, wait for the farmer's market to open. Or wait for Skips to open, and then go to the farmer's market, have a couple beers there, and then on the way home, and on our bikes, we would stop at the not the VFW, the other one.
The Moose?
No, the other military, the Legion. Yeah, the Legion. So on the way, it's right on the bike trail, so we stop there and get a couple drinks, and I'd make it home 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon to lock my bike up for the day, and then do cricketers and the sandbar and all that.
Do they still have a coin-operated dialysis machine at the American Legion?
I don't know. I did.
Is that real?
Yeah, a treat for liver.
Oh, no, it's not real.
No.
It's real.
So that escalated, and it escalated fast. I started drinking more and going, and I had to stumble home. Cricketers, and there's a place behind Cricketers that's a little yacht club or a boat club that stays open. Yeah.
Well.
So I would go there after after I got home from being at the bars. That's I'd stumble over there, and
And we should know that is a depressing place. Like in hindsight, I relive that place in my head because I know it. And it's basically 4 walls and a low roof.
Smokers.
People drinking nickel beers. It's just smokers.
Yes. Smokers and
Sounds like the Smiling Dog Seat. My old hand.
And you should, when you walk out, you should go right to an AA meeting. It's one of those type of places.
Yeah.
Do they give you a free beer if you give them a white chip? I'm sure they're like, we miss you.
So that kind of it escalated fast, and I think the thing that tipped it was me having a friend come to town and me just going off the rails and not remembering and that's how this disease works. So I did. I came up on my own.
I think that's so impressive.
Well, my life was becoming unmanageable, and I knew that something had to change. I didn't necessarily know that I was not going to drink again. I didn't take my last drink on that Halloween night at the Commodore, because I got dressed up and went over there for Halloween. That was they have a great party there. It's super fun. But I wasn't having fun. I had just gotten back. My friend had just left, and my other friend that lives in the building. I have a box of Halloween stuff because we follow Widespread Panic, and we go to their Halloween shows. So, and we dress up, and it also is my brother's birthday. So wherever Panic plays on Halloween, we go. And it's been probably 20 years that we've been doing this. So I have a trunk load of costumes. So my friend came up to my place, and we'd try on costumes, and then drinking, and okay, let's go out to Halloween. And that was my last hurrah. I was dressed as like a vampire, like black wig.
You know what's cool though? I mean, listening to your story, and just so you know, it's not really the last hurrah; it's the beginning of new hurrahs.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. But like, I know some people that they go back out and like they know that this is their last drink, or you know what I mean, like they're on their way to the rehab and they're just doing right. Yeah. So I didn't know that was going to be the last time I ever drank. But God willing, I hope I don't want to anymore. When I hear people that still want to drink in the program, the way I look at it is I've done it already.
Yep.
I know what it does to me, and I don't need to go back there. I don't need.
You've got some good sober juju. I think you need to hold on to that.
Yeah. And I've been kind of doing that with everything. It took a while because once I got off the booze, I started with the ice cream. I replaced the one. So I put on 20 pounds. But that's my new mantra is trust. What was it? Trust in the timing and unfolding of your life. So I started to trust everything. So the progression of eating ice cream to get to not do the drink,
right?
And then it was like, all right, enough's enough. I'm going to cut out sugar, and I'm going to cut out sugar the same way I cut out alcohol. And is to say that I've had it, I've done it. I don't need it. My body doesn't like it. It's toxic to me. And that's sort of how I've been doing it. And, I want to live and lead a healthy lifestyle. So
it's like a deconstructed, this new chefs do this like deconstructed Caesar salad where everything, so you're kind of pulling it apart and then putting it back together correctly. I
like that.
Yeah, I think, and one thing I really want to say to you is that the sense of pride and feeling that you're going to have that your father got to see you get sober is going to carry with you. And I'm like, to me, my father was my hero for sure. My mom and dad, big people in my life. But the fact that I was able to give my father those sober years means everything to me. And I still feel like what a disappointment. I'm obligated to this man. I feel a responsibility to be sober because of him. And all the bullshit. Driving around from place to place, from rehab to rehab, or whatever it was. I'm like, oh my God, I tortured this man. and he never stopped loving me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that that's a huge part of your story.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember coming back. I think it was from Breckenridge, and of course, with my travel, I like to plan it out and map out where we're going, and we're going to go through St. Louisville, or no, I'm sorry, going to go through to St. Louis, and we're going to get St. Louis style ribs and I remember, kind of, my grandfather used to say, dope it out. We're going to dope out what we're doing. And I remember like kind of getting excited about this. And my dad stopped me in my tracks and said, Mare, you do realize I'm driving you home. Like this, we're not on vacation right now. And I'm like, ooh, okay. Because I'm getting excited about doing ribs and going to see the
Daddy's girl.
Yeah, the stuff I put him through. I mean, we
Love it.
Yeah, but now I think we're getting older. I mean, he's got a son. My brother's just turned 60.
Wow.
So it's crazy. So
I kind of want to do your whole pathway of your drinking career sober.
yeah,
I mean, like, I want
right.
to be a ski bum.
Yeah.
The whole thing sounds amazing,
Yeah.
except for the unmanageability part, and I know that loneliness, that phone call, and that whole thing when you're really at that bottom place. Everything else sounds pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, which is why it was so hard to think that it was alcohol. That was because I thought I was depressed. Maybe I'm just depressed. Maybe I'm sad. Maybe and it definitely it was alcohol.
Alcoholism doesn't care, man. It does not care.
Yeah. And like to look back, because I mean, I could look back to when you were super young and I remember waiting for Thursday nights to go to Gentle Ben's to go see Room to Move, a band that I loved, and to drink.
Yeah.
And then Tuesdays was nickel or any silver coin would get you a drink at Mudbugs. And, and it was just that the obsession and the craving and all that started, but it was under control, or it didn't progress until it really took off when I became a bartender. But that's what I surrounded myself with. I surrounded myself with like-minded people. So, I mean, a lot of people that I worked with are no longer with us.
Yeah. Yep.
They have passed away from, my best girlfriend. I didn't realize that because we were apart, I hadn't seen her. I moved away. But her organs started shutting down, and, she died.
Oh.
Yeah.
And my best buddy, he got, the roommate came home and said, dude, you're turning yellow. And I'm like, well, you're really sick.
Yeah.
And got to the hospital, and the doctor said, if you came in a couple weeks later, you wouldn't have come in. And so he's not drinking. I'm trying to get him into AA, actually, because I mean, he's a fun guy, but he almost killed himself. I mean, this stuff is toxic.
Oh yeah. It's poison.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just kind of glad that whatever my higher power got me here, I'm sticking with it.
We're walking over his bodies, unfortunately. I'll tell you that because you lived in a tourist attraction area.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a tourist attraction area, although it was in an island. The mountain, the island, it doesn't matter. People want to go there and have a good time. When you live in those areas, it's almost expected that you are on 24/7 with the party.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we just got here. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, okay. And you fire it back up. I mean, as a chef, and being in the hospitality industry, it is 100 miles an hour, and it's very toxic. By the time I was 23, I was like bleeding from drinking too much.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it was, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So very impressive.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. Well, here on Sober Shenanigans, we like to have celebrity quotes that kind of make them feel just like us, that this is a problem that everyone deals with. And MJ and myself are big music lovers, so we chose John Mayer today. And here's what John has shared before. He says, I looked in the mirror and I said, okay, John, what percentage of your potential would you like to have? Because if you say you'd like 60 and you'd like to spend the other 40 having fun, that's okay. But what percentage of what is available to you would you like to make happen? There is no wrong answer. I went, I want to live 100%. And if I were to tell other people how they could do it, it's just so particular to your own spirit and your own psychology. It's almost impossible to develop one way of explaining it to someone else. You have to fight really hard and look at it from a critical point of view because it's constantly pushed on you. But 1 year ago today, I decided to give drinking a break, a very personal thing for everyone. For me, a constant return on investment. I love it. I post this because I want people to know that that's enough for now is on the menu, so to speak. Well, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a genius. I don't know if you guys have seen him. I've seen him.
I just saw him at
Live.
Sphere.
Did you?
Yeah, he does Jerry Garcia's part in The Grateful Dead. So it was Dead & Co. at the Sphere.
Oh, cool.
So, yes.
I mean, he is a savant on a guitar.
I just want you to, could you read a little long? I'm going to record that and then I love when he talks and reads. Doesn't he read great?
Yes, he does.
I mean, it's like the first thing I picked up about this guy is like, he started reading how like, man, is it?
Well, I've been reading a long time. But
I thought I was in like the Discovery, like I was watching a documentary or something. Like, what's going on here? This
Yes.
buttery smooth.
I do not read very well.
Oh,
And you're a good reader.
oh man.
well, I'll take that.
Mhm.
Well, MJ, is there? It's been great having you, and your story is really uplifting. And knowing you that since I have for a little over a year or so, you're just a positive vibe. Your outlook is awesome. Being around you is great. It's obvious to onlookers that this way of life really benefits you, and that you're really living it.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you'd like to chime in with while we're here?
I wrote some things down when I was in my sauna cold plunge.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
got real into yoga with the meditation that I started doing through AA has led me to the yoga studio, which in turn has led me into sauna, steam, cold plunge.
red light therapy, maybe a little bit.
Yes,
Oh,
one of those. I did a body wrap, which was phenomenal. But I wrote, trust in the timing and unfolding of your life. Everything happens for a reason. Is it odd or is it God?
Nice.
oh,
Yeah. And those aha moments, there are no coincidences. Let it go and let it flow. I'm big into like letting it flow,
We actually
seeing-
say that on the intro of our show.
Oh, I like it.
Feel the flow.
Welcome change. Even good change is frightening and it's uncomfortable. So get uncomfortable. It's worth it. Acceptance, make decisions, pause, and your expectations. You got to be careful with what you put out there because you can put your expectations and set them somewhere, and it's not the way things turn out. My expectations were I was going to retire with Starbucks and live my little simple, stupid job over there, and God had a different plan for me, and it's going to, and I really believe it. And and it happened at the right time, because if it happened 2 years ago, it would have been devastating because I was still drinking. And so he waited until I knew I could handle it. And so with that, I do meditation practice. I go to the yoga studio. Real big into health and nutrition now. So, maybe I can go with that. Sleep is super important. Keep toxins out of my body. So I'm really conscious of everything that I'm putting in my body, because we can control most of the stuff that, heart disease and diabetes and, all the different carcinogens that we're eating. And we can do that just through eating. And I absolutely love AA. I love the fellowship. I hit a lot of meetings, and events. We just did a sober pool party, which was super fun.
I missed it.
Yep. And then, the dry dock hosted a beautiful memorial ceremony. So I went up there, and it's just, it's just really great. I do have a sponsor, and I sponsor other women.
God bless.
Yeah. It's very rewarding, and it gets you in the book, and it gets you studying and learning more too. And it's bettered my relationships with everybody. You know, it's really great. One day at a time, and the good stuff. One day at a time, the good stuff just edges out the misery stuff. The old misery out. Yes. So those are the things I kind of jotted down this morning because I was a little nervous. I didn't know exactly what to expect coming here.
It's pretty scary, isn't it?
Very intimidating.
Two cats coming into this den.
But I like to be prepared. I don't like walking into a place and being so I did jot some things down just in case I had to.
We ambushed you. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, you're very inspirational, and we really do appreciate it. And listen, if you're having a tough time quitting, whatever it is you know you need to quit, you're not alone. There's apps and numbers and groups in your town, or you can call us if you want. Leave us a message, 727-294-4933. Hit us up on Facebook. You know, taking that first step into a room or a chat or a group with people trying to get better just like you will be the best day of your life. Primo, what's your final point on today's show?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming in. You are a shining star. You're a North Star for a lot of people. I think it's really cool. You know, and I really want to touch on the fact that you're the first female on our show, which we couldn't have hit. We knocked it out of the park with you for sure.
Aw.
And, you know, a lot of our followers, like almost 80% of our followers are females.
Really?
Yes, which is unusual for some reason. There's no, I don't even know why, but it was so important that we get a female perspective on here, and I really appreciate what you have brought to us. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening to Sober Shenanigans, real talk and real recovery. Hey, worry, anxiety, and fear, it's all up in here. Just give yourself a break. You're enough, and you're doing great. I'm Stoff, and he's Primo. And remember,
No drinks today.
We're all in the same boat, fellas.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Yeah, I mean, his shenanigans are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not shenanigans at all, really.
Evil shenanigans.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
Shenanigans!